Good evening, this is the interpreter QA. Just confirming with our Mandarin interpreters. Have you been able to gain access to the language line?
Yes, we are in.
Perfect. Alrighty.
An owl and the meeting owl, and it follows us and picks up our sound and our image. So please have your computers muted and your volumes turned all the way down. That is live and it's picking everything up. So we do not have to pass around computers anymore. I don't have to have a microphone over here and move it around. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that this device works well in auditoriums. I don't know, we'll see what happens in 2 weeks. So that is a plus. All right, so let's get started. I have put a sign-in sheet in the chat for everybody online to please sign in. Good evening, and thank you for coming to the CEC 15 May 14th, 2024 business meeting. We're here at 131 Livingston Street, and I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:38. I am going to ask that anybody who is in attendance in person, please sign the attendance sheet at the back of the room. Anyone who is here virtually, please sign the attendance sheet in the chat. And I'm going to turn it over to the interpreters so that they can introduce themselves.
Good evening. This message will be in Spanish, offering interpretation services. Buenas noches a todos, gracias por estar acá. Si desea servicios de interpretación en español, por favor marque desde su teléfono al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de conferencia 241-128-711, símbolo numeral. Le repito, si desea interpretación simultánea en español, por favor marque desde su teléfono al 347-966-4114 e ingrese el código de conferencia 241-128-711, símbolo numeral. Por favor, recuerden mantener el micrófono de todos sus dispositivos en silencio para evitar el ruido de fondo y de esta manera garantizar la calidad de sonido para todos los participantes en las líneas de interpretación. Gracias. Esta información será publicada periódicamente en la casilla de diálogos.
晚上好，本次会议有提供中文普通话翻译。如果需要中文普通话翻译的家长们，请你们拨打电话347-966-4114，然后再输入会议的 ID 340-509-937，井号键就可以听中文普通话的同声传 译翻译服务。再播报一遍，如果需要中文普通话的翻译的家长们，请您拨打翻译热线3479664114，然后再输入会议的 ID 34050937，井号键，谢谢。Thank you, I'm done.
The following message will be for Bangla audience. আপনারা যারা আজকে এই মিটিংটি শুনছেন তারা বাংলায় শুনতে চান, সেই ক্ষেত্রে আপনার ফোন থেকে ডায়াল করবেন 347-966-4114। আমি আবারও বলছি, আপনার ফোন থেকে ডায়াল করবেন 347-966-4114 এবং কনফারেন্স আইডি চালিয়ে দিতে হবে 959-307-644#। কনফারেন্স আইডিটা আবার বলছি 959-307-644#। আপনারা যদি কথা না বলবেন সেক্ষেত্রে মিউট করে রাখবেন। আপনাদের যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে কিউ&এ সেকশনে লিখতে পারেন। ধন্যবাদ। থ্যাংক ইউ। বাংলা অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট ইজ ডান।
Okay, great. Thank you so much, interpreters. And I'm going to turn it over to our secretary, Nancy Cruz, to read the roll.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. It's running somewhere. Council member,
Yeah, I'm here.
Council member Leslie King is excused. Council member Vanessa Gonzalez is excused. Council member Nancy Cruz is present. Council member Donaldo Chumney, present. Council member Jonathan Davis.
Present.
Council member Nancy Randall, present. Council member Hans Arietta.
Present.
Council member Lauren Barkin, present. Council member Mahmoud Rashid. Council member Janely Vidal, present. Council member, high school council member Annalie Giata. She's somewhere on the Zoom. May unmute and say present if you're here, and then we need Giata. I don't see her.
All right, thank you so much. We have quorum, and I will just put the sign sheet again in the chat. And my folks can sign in and turn it over to Jonathan Davis for the public comment protocol.
Tonight's business meeting is in person and will include a public comment period. We will take both remote and in-person comments to gather additional feedback from our families and school community members. You may leave your camera on or for your own privacy if you prefer. You may use audio only during the comment period and throughout the meeting. Rules of engagement. When you comment, please comment on the topic, respect the privacy of others, and please do not include names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public comment period, those attending virtually may raise their hand to comment or indicate in the chat that they would like to speak. Those called upon will be unmuted. If you are attending in person, you must sign the guest attendance sheet and indicate whether you would like to comment. Speakers will be called on one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute each for comment. We will hear as many speakers as the time allows. It is possible that not every comment and/or question will be given time, so the best way to get your question answered is always to write to the CEC at cec15@schools.nyc.gov. CEC members will also be given a comment period. Members will be called upon and are each permitted 1 2-minute comment and/or question. If members do not have a comment, they may cede their time to the chair.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I will turn it back over to our secretary for the minutes. Oh, parking. Nancy.
Good morning, but I'm not. Okay, so I am going to ask if everyone, can please, anyone can, raise their hand to, accept approve the minutes.
So let's just do one by one. Okay, so we've got the November 14th business meeting. Meeting minute.
Now, business meeting minutes. Okay, so would anyone like to approve the 11/14 business meeting minutes?
So are there any objections to those minutes? Okay. Okay, motion is adopted to adopt minutes for the 14th.
Okay, would anyone like to motion to adopt, sorry, the PTO super, adopt the minutes for, the 11/28 calendar meeting? Sure, motion needs a second.
I think you need to ask if there's any questions or objections to those minutes.
Any questions or objections to the minutes? Okay, let the record show that there were no questions or objections. Minutes are approved. I will now move on to the 12/12 calendar, and business meeting minutes. Can someone motion to approve those minutes? Lauren, thank you. To approve. Does anyone have any questions or objections to the minutes? So that the record show that no objections and minutes are.
Okay, so Lauren, made all the motions to adopt?
No, did all
Then all the first one, right? And then Lauren.
And then lastly, I think it was Jonathan.
That was Jonathan. Okay.
I know, I'm sure you can add me at it. Yeah.
I thought it was.
Thank you
Okay.
for doing.
I just for doing that.
Yeah.
We're really grateful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a little fuzzy right now.
All good. Okay, so I just want to make sure Shanice has all the information she needs
Yeah.
for the future minutes.
Yeah.
So it's Donaldo, Lauren and Lauren.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
I'll
okay,
say that.
great, great, all right. All right, thank you. We are slowly getting there. Now we're in the new year. We're gonna start with the January minutes. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CEC 15th May business meeting. I really hope everyone enjoyed their Mother's Day and their spring break and their Passover. Before we proceed with our agenda, I need to update you all on our member vacancy. At our April calendar meeting, the CEC did vote to approve a candidate to fill the vacancy whose application was provided to the CEC in error. In fact, BASE provided us with 2 applicants that were not eligible for those seats. BASE Deputy Executive Director Jesse Mojica is here to explain. So I'm going to turn it over to Jesse. And that is following you, so you can just speak.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. And first and foremost, I wanted to thank the members of the CEC for having me here today. My name is Jesse Mojica. As Antonia said, I am the Deputy Executive Director of the Office of Family and Community Engagement at the Department of Education. And I wanted to come here before the CEC and also before the public to do a couple of things. One, to explain the error that we take full responsibility for at FACE, and to publicly say that this was an error of the Office of Family and Community Engagement and not an error of the CEC. I want that on the record, publicly say that they were given information by our office that was incorrectly vetted. And that is something that we take full accountability for, and I want it for the record for those in the public or at home or here to understand that that is an error of the Office of Family and Community Engagement and not an error of Community Education Council 15. So what happened was that one of our staff members incorrectly vetted the eligibility of a pre-K parent. Admittedly, in the law, the eligibility of pre-K parents is a bit it's a bit complicated. And what I mean by that is that unlike other parts of the law where it's rather clear, you have a child in the system, they're in this grade, they're eligible. With pre-K parents, there is a distinction about eligibility with regards to there are different types of programs. And where the eligibility is for a pre-K parent is defined as offered by a school. And what that means is that in a sense excludes a pre-K program that is a standalone or independent program that could be in a DOE building, but in a sense is not run by the school. The school does not have an official pre-K. It's not by the school. It is a program that is a standalone pre-K program that is not, in a sense, offered by the school, which is what's, in the law. This was also something that we experienced when the law was passed, when initially pre-K parents were added to the eligibility for the CEC election. And we did understand that, presented quite a few issues when this initiative came to fold. So where the error was, is that the staff members saw pre-K there, but did not make a distinction whether the pre-K was offered by the school or independent or standalone pre-K center. That was the error. Here are some of the steps that we'd like, and also I'd like to also publicly apologize to Ms. Uday and all of the candidates who are affected by this.
I'm on the meeting. I'm going to the CEC meeting.
We have had conversations with Ms. Uday to apologize to her privately, but in fairness, this is a public situation. And it's only fair that we also publicly come to your meeting and also apologize to the candidates who are affected. Understanding the impact that is on a candidate who wants to serve, who is dedicated, their time to serve, who really, has a lot to bring to the council. I don't want to understate the fact that we understand what an impact this has had on both the candidate and the council. As far as accountability, I just want to say publicly, we are unable to discuss like HR matters, in a public setting. Not to say that there isn't steps that we are taking within phase to hold those accountable. We're just not able to discuss the specifics of HR matters in a public setting. We are also, Dr. Melendez and I are talking about future CEC applications and to add questions to make it a bit clearer, in particular with pre-K eligibility, so that fairness to parents who are filling these out, and fairness to councils, that there is some type of questions that further clarify, so that, because if I was a parent in a pre-K, I would think, right, I'm eligible. This is also a matter of continuing advocacy in the law. The law needs to be corrected. The law needs to be updated to be able to account for this lack of specificity in the law that talks about offered by a school and doesn't represent the programs that are standalone programs in pre-K standalone programs throughout the city. So with that said, I wanted to, on behalf of everyone at FACE, on behalf of Dr. Melendez and myself, come here, one, to apologize, one, to state to the general public that this is a situation that was caused by our office and was not caused by the CEC. They received information from our office that was incorrect. And explain the nuances with pre-K and nuances as to why this occurred and some of the challenges with regards to pre-K eligibility. To apologize to Ms. Uday, apologize to those who were affected by this, and also to let the members of the CEC and let the members of the audience know that we are looking to take steps so that this doesn't occur. Again, part of the steps is to really look at the application as one step and to be able to have more of that clarification in the application. If this doesn't happen again, the other step is to retrain our staff so that when they are vetting for pre-K parents, that they actually look at this a lot more closely, look at those distinctions a lot more closely in the system. So that is going to occur again. And I will stop there because obviously I want to respect the council's time, but I'm here and happy to take any questions. And once again, appreciate the opportunity to be able to be at your meeting.
I'm gonna turn it over to you to monitor the presentation.
Yeah, are we opening up to public? first
Yeah.
and then- Okay, so let me first open it up to those who are joining us on Zoom. If there's anybody that would like to ask a question or make a comment. About what Mr. Mojica just shared with us. Okay, interpreters, is there anybody on your lines?
No questions on the Spanish line.
Okay, anybody in person here who has a question? Yes,
So what happens now? Is my question, since these candidates don't qualify, they're gonna put out another call or is it?
So, the council would have to vote in a calendar meeting. You can't vote tonight. Our bylaws say, the vote has to happen in a calendar. So I have left space on today's agenda if the council wants to go into an executive session to talk about the next steps and how we want to proceed. But we haven't decided.
yes, yes.
Question, which is, I'm assuming this is why I came to meet, but I assume here, I'm assuming it means that the parent has to have an enrolled, a student enrolled in the district, but what about the fact that at this point of the year, kindergarten offers have already been accepted? Does that change anything for those people if they have accepted a kindergarten offer at a school in the district?
No, that's an excellent question, but what will happen is that information has to transition into our systems. And until that information transitions into our systems, the individual still won't show up and they'll still be declared, usually like what'll happen, no, that's an excellent question, because what'll happen is that as we get closer to the beginning of school, that information should be there. And then when the council revets the application or the application is there again, then that information is there, and then now the eligibility is there. Now the person is eligible, but until that information is fully transitioned into the system's still going to show up that the individual is not eligible.
Any other questions in person here? Okay, CEC questions or comments. I'll start with Nancy.
Yes, so thank you for coming and explaining. It was definitely, I'm not gonna belabor this, but just I would want to apologize to the candidates who spent considerable amount of unpaid time doing this and encourage them to continue to support the CEC. I was on a call with Senator Liu's office, and they were going to look into this. They said what's confusing to me is I'm reading everything. So I look on the DOE website or the New York City Public School website, and this pre-K is there. I go into my schools and this pre-K is there. In every sense of the word, this pre-K is present as a part of our schools. It's under the jurisdiction of the superintendent. It has a DVN number. So I guess it's a matter of how do you interpret school?
Yeah, so the key term is offered by the school, meaning that it's not a standalone program within the school, but it's actually like a great configuration within the school. That's how it's determined as offered by the school. So I know it's confusing, Nancy, and I appreciate like how frustrating this is, because it's been frustrating for us in the law, where if you could literally have a program within a DOE building offering a pre-K, but because it's standalone, and it's still under the jurisdiction of the superintendent, it's a standalone program, and it's not offered by the school, it's not part of the school, then that's the reason why it doesn't qualify.
So when you say offered, it says under the jurisdiction of the school.
Offered by.
It says under the jurisdiction of the community of the law. So I'm just curious about how you're distinguishing that.
It's the offered
Because
by.
it seems to be under the jurisdiction.
It's the key, and I'm sorry, I keep saying the same thing, because we went
I would
through.
like just clarification. It is not clear to me, and I
Yeah, and
I've interpreted law before. This is not clear.
I know, I understood, Nancy, I'm happy to also respond back like officially, like in writing with everything to the council, and I'll make that commitment. But literally the term was offered by the school, meaning that not a standalone program, not a standalone program in the DOE building, a school that's a pre-K to such and such. With a pre-K program
Right,
that is
but
like,
the
yeah,
bill says under the jurisdiction, right?
but it's too big. It has to be offered by the school. It can't be a standalone program under the jurisdiction of the superintendent. Like, it can't be either or, it has to be offered by the school.
Right, okay, so it just, the intent is representation of parents. Parents having a voice in the system, and to me, it would seem that what we're doing is denying the voice of the parents.
I would say that the law needs to be updated to do that, because it was well intentioned, like it was many years ago, a result of, as you know, the previous administration, the expansion of pre-K, within our system, and then realizing we have all these families who are part of pre-K should need to be part of the CEC as well, to have a voice in the CEC. I think where the problem is in the wording in the law, which has created this issue. And I think and I'm happy that you're speaking to the senator's office, because I think that's where the solution is going to be, is going into the law and adding all aspects with regards to pre-K. Because there are pre-Ks that are offered by the school, there are pre-Ks that are standalone programs within DOE buildings, there are pre-Ks in community centers, there are different types of pre-Ks throughout the city. The law spoke about one type, and that's the problem. And what it needs to do is be written in a way to expand, to include all of the ones that I just talked about, and enumerate those, and include those in the law. That's the issue. And I think that's what needs to be corrected. And there's two things that need to happen. One is all the corrections that I've talked about, so that when we're vetting this, we vet this properly, so this doesn't occur again. But the final solution on this is to be able to correct the law, to be able to include all of those particular pre-K programs, so there isn't a situation where it's not covered.
So the DOE's interpretation of school is within the structure. I'm still like, so you're saying you're interpreting school a certain way.
So you have a school and it has like this grade through this grade within the school. That's offered by the school, we have a standalone program within our building that's not part of the school. That's the distinction between offered by
But it
school.
is part of the school, it's part of the DOE, it's under the superintendent, so it's that word school that's really flipping. But really
No, I agree.
confusing me and how
Yeah.
you're choosing to, like, I wouldn't think that charter members should be part of the CEC. I wouldn't think that private school families should be, but given that this kindergarten is indeed under the jurisdiction and control of the superintendent of District 15, that those parents therefore should have a voice in decisions that are being made. So
Yes.
school is where I'm having some difficulty understanding. So that's codified somewhere.
Yes, and
Where is that codified?
and that's within the law. This is state law. And
It's interpreted in the law, because I didn't see it, but I will look it up.
correct. And what I can do is one answer, I can share with you that.
Mhm.
I'll
Please
also.
do. If you share that with me, then I'm good.
No,
That is what I want to see. Thank you.
And council members, I want to say this again, is that like, this has caused this council, a lot of, like stress, problem, and to the candidate. And I acknowledge all of that, so I respect all of your questions, because this is like, this is a situation that the council and the candidate should have never been put in, that's one. The second part of this is that I also want to assure the council that it wasn't only Nancy's interpretation of the correction. It was, this is wrong, see that it's wrong. Let's go to our legal office to confirm. And we had our legal office look at this to reconfirm what we knew was the mistake, right? To reconfirm, yes. And that's where like interpretation, that's where offered by a school came from. That's all legal interpretation of why the candidate was not eligible because of this.
Okay, and you'll share that.
I'd be happy to, yes,
Okay, that's what I just.
absolutely happy.
Hans? Stanley? Nancy? Lauren?
Just want to thank you for coming in person and explaining it to our question. Thank you.
I just had one question. I think that you said you may be working on this already, but is there a way, as you're filling out the online application, where based on the questions, that delineate what makes you eligible, what school you represent, it won't even let you submit, and it will say to you, I'm sorry, you are ineligible because of this law that states this, so that candidates don't waste their time, right? And maybe that can even happen before they have to write a statement. It's like it's a pre-screener that they have to go through.
Exactly right, sir. Like, that's exactly what we're looking at. Like, we, the evolution of the CEC campaign, with regards to the application was very similar. Like, for those who, like, I've been around the DOA for a while. Like, I remember my first campaign was in 2013, and you had an online platform that did not do that. And then we started to kind of improve it to the point where, to avoid a situation where a parent would get past a certain point and realize that I'm not eligible. This is a gap in that. And we have to, Dr. Melendez and I both agree that let us look at that so that we can make improvements so that those questions happen, so that parents do not get to a place where now they're, we have this situation due to this error bias.
Thank you, Jesse, so much for coming tonight in person and explaining all of that to us. I will just ask the council, do you feel that you need to go into executive session at this moment? Yes, okay. Does somebody want to make that motion?
I motion to go into executive session.
Okay. You got that? Here, I'll. Motion to okay, can somebody second that? Second. All right, you call the roll.
Okay. Antonio Ferrara,
Yes.
Leslie King, Nancy Cruz, yes, Bernard Chumney. Jonathan Davis.
Yes.
Nancy Randall.
Yes.
Yes. Lauren Barton.
Yes.
He was down.
Oh, you just arrived. Namun, we're voting to go into executive session. To talk about, the situation with our vacancy.
Okay.
Are you yes or no? Okay, we're voting on whether to go into an executive session to privately have a conversation about how to proceed with, our member vacancies.
Privately or here?
Privately. We're gonna leave the room.
So it's not on this.
You may not have been in an executive session before, an executive.
Yes.
Down.
Yeah. Okay, all right, do we have 7? It appears we have eight votes, okay, so. Approves the terms of an executive session. We are not voting. We are not making a decision about seating a number. We are just making a decision about how we're going to proceed forward. Okay, so I'm gonna ask people to follow me outside, leave their devices here. Good.
Point of order, why do we have to leave our devices here? Where does it say that in phase regulation?
Okay, you can bring your device out there, but I don't want people recording something that should be private. This is, an executive session is a private conversation.
Has anyone ever reported anything in the executive session?
Whether it's comfortable with people bringing their. I can't make decisions based on what has never happened before. I have to protect people from what could happen in the future.
Yes. I guess I just misunderstand your role then, in service to this group, and I'm going to choose to bring my phone into this executive session. I won't leave any devices here for anyone to watch. That's silly. Thank you.
You can find it.
Yeah.
How are you?
Okay, so, there's been, okay, I'm gonna say there's been a point of order that was never quite resolved. And, what is the new motion that's on the floor?
Motion to agree that if we take our devices into executive session, we will not record audio or a video of the executive session, nor will we take notes on our devices that can then be shared with others of the executive session.
Seems to be implicit in executive session, but of motion. To agree not to record executive session on devices. Nancy makes the motion.
I second.
You second it. Okay, call the roll.
Anthony Ferraro.
Yes.
Nancy Cruz, yes.
And all.
Yes. Jonathan Davis.
Yes.
Nancy Randall.
Yes.
Tom Zabieta.
Yes.
Lauren Barkin.
Yes.
Emma Rashid.
Yes.
Danny Vidal. Yes.
Okay, let's go into. You know. you can take down what what we've agreed upon. Anything else? We are not voting on. Okay, so it's the, sound is.
Yes.
Okay. So we have decided the way forward is there are some ongoing conversations at the state level. But barring any new information that comes out of those conversations, the council will vote to seat one of the remaining candidates in the calendar meeting on May 20th. Okay, thank you all. These conversations are never easy. And we have to add that Mamoon has arrived. We have to add him, in the attendance.
Well, do you know what time you're on?
7:08.
Okay. All right, now I don't even know what I am in the, okay, I'm back at my president's report. Okay. So, update on shelters. I have heard reports that families in shelters have been receiving 24-hour eviction notices. This is devastating to these families, and I've reached out to the superintendent for more details. I'm awaiting more details. These students will have to adjust to a new school within weeks of the end of the school year, and our schools continue to deal with a revolving door of students. It's very hard to see how this benefits our mayor, but it's certainly a lose-lose situation for our families. Update on high school admission. Chancellor Banks announced that he is weighing different models to reinstate a District 2 priority. District 2 is the largest district in Manhattan and has a lot of highly sought high schools. Their high school enrollment dwarfs all other districts at 32,471 students, and they have approximately 9,000 empty seats. It is a very gerrymandered district with few low-income neighborhoods. When the priority was initially dismantled under the last administration, high schools in the district saw their demographics diversify. 70 years after Brown versus Ford, studies show that segregation is increasing in large districts. New York City remains intensely segregated. It is disappointing that this chancellor is rolling back even the minimal efforts at integration. Given recent congressional interest in equity in education, I am wondering when Congress is going to call hearings on school segregation. This change would certainly limit access to District 2 high schools for families who reside outside of District 2. We as a council have limited time to weigh in on this proposal, and there is a letter from New York Appleseed on this agenda that I hope this council will vote to sign on to. Budget update. We recently sent out some information from Advocates for Children on how to get involved in the continued fight to restore funding for the education programs that are funded by COVID relief funds. Mayor Adams recently released his executive budget, which included more than 500 million for some of these programs, but there are other programs that are going to be underfunded or not funded at all. Some of those programs are restorative justice, student success centers, mental health continuum, and immigrant family communication. And some of the programs that the new funding doesn't go far enough include 3K and pre-K, preschool, special ed, and community schools. So I want to put some information about that in the chat, ways that people can get involved. There's actually a city council education budget hearing tomorrow. So I'm gonna put a bunch of links in the chat, ways that people can get involved. Let's see if this is register, testify. And you can certainly email your city elected leaders to advocate for funding for these programs. I just want to point everybody out that there are resolution responses in everybody's folders and they're out on the table. I'm not going to read all the resolution responses. I think it'll just sort of take up a lot of time. So they're there for you. We got responses on the resolution on expired federal COVID relief funds, resolution on class size, and the resolution on traffic safety. Some events that are coming up. Tuesday, June 4th. I sent you all an email. We're having a special session that I had to call for the contracts for excellence. I'm sorry that I'm having to call this special session at the end of the year. The DOE never seems to notify us about these contracts for excellence until the last minute. So we have this special session here at 131 Livingston Street at 6:30 on June 4th. Saturday, June 8th, District 15 Learning Together. This is sort of a District 15 community building event. It's a carnival at PS 32 from 11:30 to 2:30. I'm going to be manning a table along with our President's Council. I hope some of you can join me at the table. We're just going to be chatting with parents. That's it. Very informal. So again, 11:30 to 2:30, PS 32, June 8th. May is Jewish American Heritage Month and Asian American Pacific Islander Month. May 6th was Holocaust Remembrance Day. And so it is therefore fitting that tonight we will be reading our resolution to prevent and respond to hate speech in New York City public schools. We will not be voting tonight. We're going to solicit public comment, and then we will vote in the calendar meeting on May 28th at Sunset Park High School. And that concludes my updates. I would like the council to move on to the Appleseed statement about District 2 minority. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. Call to sustain the removal of district priority. At a recent town hall, the Chancellor of New York City Public Schools, one of the most segregated school systems in the country, announced he was considering reinstating a segregative policy that prevented equal access to public high schools located in District 2 in Manhattan. In his statement, he said the NYC DOE is looking at various models as we speak to restore in some form the geographic preference in District 2 that denied students access and unequivocally contributed to segregation in several of the most sought after public high schools in Manhattan. New York Appleseed and the undersigned strongly oppose the reinstatement of geographic preferences and call for the New York City DOE to retain the current policy, which has advanced diversity, equity, access, and excellence across many of Manhattan's public high schools. The facts could not be clearer that the removal of District 2 priority in conjunction with several other equitable reforms led to greater access and opportunity for Black, Latinx students and students from low-income families. Within the first year of this change, the percentage of offers to free and reduced price lunch eligible FRL students at Eleanor Roosevelt High School more than tripled from 16% the previous year to 50%. At Baruch College Campus High School, offers to free and reduced eligible students increased from 36% to 66%. Racial demographics also dramatically shifted and were sustained, with Eleanor Roosevelt's Black and Latinx population jumping from 12% in 2019 to 27% today. At the New York City Lab School for Collaborative Studies, demographics shifted from 14% Black and Latinx to 20% Black and Latinx in 2022. The elimination of geographic preference has opened doors for hundreds of students from outer boroughs to gain admission to some of New York City's most sought after and easily accessible public high schools. Manhattan by design is well connected by public transit, offering efficient access to schools via subways, buses, and even ferries. Consequently, enrollment at schools like School of the Future, BCCHS, Eleanor Roosevelt, and New York City Lab reflect the accessibility with reported incoming classes comprising between 25% to over 60% of students from outside the borough. Students and families in transportation deserts and or boroughs with deficits of seats, such as Queens, have come to rely on the removal of district and borough priority access to high schools. The data is undeniable evidence that this change has allowed many New York City public high schools to educate all students rather than select privileged few. The reversal of this policy is a major step backward for the equitable and inclusive system New York City children serve. It is not only disruptive to efforts to give all students an equal opportunity to attend well-resourced schools, but also causes harm to school communities that have yet to be consulted about this proposed change and have welcomed and fostered diversity within their walls and classrooms. Moreover, it is disruptive to thousands of eighth grade students and their families who have planned on having access to schools in Manhattan in their high school admissions planning. We are incredibly disappointed that this administration on the eve of the 70th anniversary of Brown v. Board of Ed, no less, would make such an abrupt announcement based upon a closed door meeting with only a handful of parents. We implore this administration not to reinstate a segregative policy and instead continue to move forward in advancing fairness and transparency in the high school admissions process. And I will turn it over to my parliamentarian to do the honors.
So, we'll first go to those joining us on Zoom. Is there anybody who has a question or comment about this resolution? Anybody on any of the interpretation lines?
Bangla line has no questions.
Spanish has no questions.
Thank you. There is one person who writes that they fully support this letter. In the chat. So if there are no other questions or comments on Zoom, anybody in person who has a question or comment about this resolution? I know Lupe Hernandez is a District 2 parent and citywide rep on the CCSE. So thank you, Lupe. Yeah, Lupe.
Happy to share more. I thank you. I don't typically want to take up space. I love coming into D15 meetings for a long time. You guys were a model for what, as a District 2 parent, what we had been advocating for with your diversity plan, even as a current member was my then superintendent. So I just want to affirm the work that District 15 has done in these efforts, and what, as a District 2 parent and a citywide rep that represents our students with disabilities, I just want to state that the impact on these vulnerable students, especially in District 2, what we found was extremely harmful and exclusive and segregating. And we have the most excess seats, that this is not needed. And I out of Manhattan, or out of all the boroughs, Manhattan has the most empty seats in high schools. And District 2 specifically has the most empty seats out of all districts within our borough. So it's the last thing we need. And I think that we can meet all our kids where they're at in the schools. And we have enough seats to welcome Brooklynites, those coming from Queens that are currently overcrowded. And we know that they are in desperate need for high school seats. Happy to share what we have.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Question about, if there's anyone that knows who is in support of the chancellor's suggestion, do you guys know? In the sense of Weston, who's supporting at the statement of Appleseeds, I'm curious.
I support the chancellor's suggestion.
Can you explain your?
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, it's, yeah, okay.
Not have like Q and A. I think the origin. Are you
Is there an
asking for the
equivalent
origin?
list of
Yeah.
organizations? Yes, yeah, who are.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I assume that the ask came from District 2. Is that correct?
I understand that they had a town hall recently with the chancellor, and that they asked if they could have the priority back for these 4 specific schools. It isn't the entire district. It's 4 specific schools. Right.
The ones that are listed in the letter. So my understanding from the articles is that it's a District 2 priority for anybody and anyone who wants it.
The District 2 priority that was removed from 4 specific schools. And that's what this letter addresses. This letter conflates a lot of information, but it's 4 specific schools that a tremendous amount of attention is going in this issue. I remember when I heard Antonio read the letter, I heard the names of 3. I can't verify the 4th is there. I wasn't listening for that. Sorry. Therefore.
I don't know. I believe that this is a District 2 priority for all of the districts. And when my son was applying to high schools years ago, there were many high schools in District 2 that had a District 2 priority. Yes.
I did watch the last meeting of CEC 2. They did vote in favor of a resolution reinstating priority for District 2 residents. At that meeting, there were many speakers, period. Some of those speakers spoke against voting in favor of that resolution. They spoke emphasizing the importance of what Appleseeds is stating in this letter.
Just to be clear, I'm a full proponent of Appleseed as an organization and what they stand for. I just have a lot of experience with District 2. I used to be the superintendent there. And I know that they have 2,800 kids graduating every year in 8th grade. And those children have no guaranteed neighborhood school that they can go to. They are hyper competitive with every other person in the city at this point. And I think every kid in New York City deserves a viable neighborhood high school. So I can't have my perspective characterized, if that's all right with you all, as anti-Appleseed. They were a key partner in our desegregation grant in District 2 that the chancellor has fully sidelined. So I fully respect their perspective. It's just that with regard to this specific issue, I think every kid deserves a neighborhood high school that they can go to, that they can walk to, that they can feel safe going to, that they can get home quickly from, all of those things. And that's I will defer all for further comment because I've taken my speaking time now. Thank you.
Any other comments from the third comments?
Just as a parent and, went to high school where I could walk or bike and it was meaningful.
Move to the rest of the CEC members, Lauren. Nancy.
I think that it's one of the things that's pointed out in this is how important it is for so many students that don't have a local neighborhood school in many of the boroughs, the outer boroughs, to have access to the schools in District 2. And especially there are just swaths of many of our boroughs where students want to be in a more, in a, just, they want a school that isn't close to them. And it's important for them to be able to go to other schools. All of our entire city, the high schools are supposed to be for our entire city. There is not supposed to be zoned high schools in this city. And so it's really important for us to keep that open for all of our students to have access to all of the high schools.
Stanley?
So just having been like raised in the Bronx, I will say that I commuted for an hour from the Bronx to 33rd Street to go to a high school. I don't know if there's 33rd Street is District 2, but go to a high school in the city because I'm concerned it's close to them. Yeah, because I wanted to go to a school that I knew was better resource than what was around my neighborhood. I also wanted to leave. I wanted to just leave the environment and expand. It was hugely impactful in my development as a learner to do. I think students should have that option. The other thing is when we were discussing the diversity initiative, I do recall them saying that on average, the children of color commute over an hour to school. I just think that they should have the option to choose from schools that are well resourced. And not just the leftover schools that are being allowed to.
I just think either this is a citywide process or it's not, and the conversation should be a citywide conversation because it has impacts beyond District 2, and it shouldn't just be a deal with between the chancellor and District 2. This should be a much bigger conversation, and we should see the impact of whatever this modeling is, and he should come to every single CEC and illustrate what the impact of this is for all of us. So that's just my whole 2 cents.
Any other final comments?
What about you?
I mean, it's complicated. I mean, everybody said things that I thought, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's so nuanced and we need more schools in the outer boroughs that people have access to. We need the schools in the city and District 2 to be more representative of the city and allow those in the outer borough the access to those schools as well. We need the schools in the outer boroughs to be better resourced so that kids don't have to feel I need to go into Manhattan to get a better resource school. And the chancellor should not be doing back deals with people at all times. Sorry, did I just say that? And we need to hold them accountable.
I would like to make a motion to vote on this resolution.
Second. You're voting on the resolution, voting to.
Sorry, not
Sign
a
off.
statement, to sign, vote on motion to sign on 2 statements. And who seconded that?
I did.
Okay. All right. All right, you want to call the roll?
Councilmember Antonia Ferraro.
I support the statement.
Councilmember Nancy Cruz, yes. Councilmember Donalda Chumney.
No.
Councilmember Jonathan Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Nancy Randall.
Yes.
Councilmember Hamza Dieta.
Yes.
Councilmember Lauren Barkin.
Yes.
Councilmember Mahmoud Rashid.
Yes.
Councilmember Denley Vidal.
Yeah.
And we have quorum.
Yes, thank you all. I will let them know that, we're gonna get that into this. Let's machine it here. Okay, I'm gonna, turn the next one over to you, because I've set it up. I'll share my screen so that you can.
You're not voting.
We're not
No, we're not voting.
This
You're
is
just
the
reading it.
first reading.
This is.
That's mine.
No more.
Oh, I'll get some more of this. first.
There's more.
Okay. For those on Zoom, they're taking a quick water break.
I'm good.
Everybody ready?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, so we will now be just reading, and not voting on, but reading the CEC 15 resolution to prevent and respond to hate speech in New York City public schools. This is a resolution that was in a different version initially brought to us by some great advocates, parent advocates within District 15. And since then, a lot of work has been done, and Tony, I really took significant lead on this. We met with many different people. We held a committee meeting to walk through it with the goal of creating a resolution that is truly inclusive of the diversity that represents this district and accounts for the rise in tensions that has existed in our district and across the city and the country and the world since the war broke out in the Middle East on October 7th. So we will be reading this today. I apologize for my voice. It maybe adds gravitas to it.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I will do my best to get through this, and then we will take comments afterwards, and then we will read it again at the next calendar meeting where we will make comments. Whereas the CEC 15 vision statement affirms that the CEC 15 is dedicated to a meaningful, innovative, and inclusive way of educating children that allows students to thrive in every aspect of their enriched academic, social, and emotional growth. Our collaborative, successful, and high-achieving schools embrace diversity in every form and encourage each of our students to explore their interests in finding and nurturing their many hidden talents. In partnership with families, our school leaders and educators help our children and young adults find their voice, build self-confidence, and develop their ability to become independent thinkers and productive, caring people responsible for shaping an equitable society. Whereas CEC 15 is committed to fostering an open and inclusive atmosphere within our schools. Whereas in 2018, CEC 15 supported the recommendations of the District 15 Diversity Plan, the Diversity Plan for the remainder of the resolution. And the resolution to support the District 15 Diversity Plan, CEC 15 stated, CEC 15 believes that all children, irrespective of race, socioeconomic status, religion, immigration status, or disability, have a right to a great education in a safe environment. Whereas the recommendations of the diversity plan, which developed through a year-long public engagement process, seek to foster middle schools that are diverse, equitable, integrated, and inclusive. Whereas in 2022, CEC 15 committed to preventing and responding to hate speech through the resolution to support the District 15 community and restorative practices, anti-bias education, and collaborative community engagement process. For the rest of the resolution known as the resolution. The resolution responded to issues of bias, racism, and transphobia. Whereas the resolution applies to all non-criminal acts of bias, including anti-Arab hate, anti-Asian hate, anti-Black hate, anti-Hispanic hate, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or other prejudice, xenophobia, or racism against any group due to their race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, abilities, gender, sexuality, age, or any other protected category. Whereas the resolution states that members of our community have been harmed, whether intentionally or not, we must all rally around the harmed, especially a harmed child, creating a balance through restorative practices. Whereas CEC 15 reaffirms our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, clarifies existing frameworks for addressing hate speech, and recommits to recommendations outlined in the diversity plan and in the resolution discussed herein. Whereas since October 7th, both anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents have dramatically risen in the US and across the globe. Whereas New York City is a global city where global traumas may be directly or indirectly experienced by students and staff and thus enter our school discourse. Whereas the tri-state area has the largest community of Jews outside of Israel, including many New York City public school students and staff. Whereas New York has the largest population of Muslims in the United States, including many New York City public school students and staff. Whereas we recognize that students across New York City come from diverse backgrounds and have varying perspectives on global issues, and it is our duty to encourage them to express their opinions respectfully and peacefully while fostering an environment that promotes tolerance, empathy, and fact-based knowledge. Whereas hate speech against any group due to their race, ethnicity, religion, national origin, abilities, gender, sexuality, age, or any other protected category is damaging to education and has no place in our schools or community. Whereas hate speech is a form of discrimination, harmful to humanity. Whereas a learning environment requires and flourishes in an atmosphere that protects against discrimination, prejudice, and fear. Whereas school leaders, teachers, and school staff are charged to work collaboratively with the superintendent and their team to provide all students with safe, respectful, and inclusive learning environments that support students' well-being, academic achievement, and social growth. Whereas the superintendent of District 15 is responsible for identifying gaps in programming and needs in the context of the entire district with major community and parent input, providing data briefings on identified issues and collaborating meaningfully with the council to develop district-wide plans for emergent issues, of which preventing hate speech is an identified need, whereas the superintendent is responsible to solicit the support and effective partnership of the Office of Safety and Youth Development, OSYD, to ensure that District 15 schools are equipped to provide all students with safe, respectful, and inclusive learning environments that support students' well-being, academic achievement, and social growth. While the superintendent's leadership is primary, OSYD works in partnership with the superintendent and his team to take a proactive role in nurturing students' pro-social behavior by providing youth development and student support services such as social emotional learning training and curriculum, restorative practices, anti-bullying resources, LGBTQ+ and gender equity supports, crisis intervention, gang prevention supports, and progressive discipline, promote respect for diversity, and establish and implement integrated safety, school climate, and counseling policies and practices, implement the citywide behavior expectations and the K-12 student Bill of Rights and Responsibilities fairly and consistently. Whereas school community members are encouraged to report any allegations of inappropriate speech to their school's principal, or may file an online report with the Office of Special Investigations, OSI, as specified in Chancellor's Regulation A 421 against verbal abuse, discrimination, and harassment, are further defined by Chancellor's Regulations A 830, A 831, and A 832. And may also be reported to the Special Commissioner of Investigation at the website provided pursuant to the Mayor's Executive Order number 11. If the allegation is against the principal, or if the school community member is uncomfortable reporting it to the principal for any reason, then they may report the allegations to the Family Support Coordinator from the Superintendent's Office. Allegations will be reviewed by the Office of Equal Opportunity, OEO, the OSI, or independently by the Special Commissioner of Investigation, SCI, to determine if they require corrective action. Whereas all New York City public school educators are mandated to report incidents of hate speech and aggression within the online occurrence reporting system, OORS, and the Office of Special Investigation within 24 hours of the report of such an incident. Whereas we acknowledge the mayor's recent release of teaching about hate crimes and their impacts, a series of hate crimes lessons designed to teach students in New York City public schools about hate crimes and bias incidents, as well as their impact on individuals and communities. Whereas we acknowledge the efforts that New York City Public Schools has made to meet the goal of open and inclusive schools by providing resources, including basic history educator guidance, processing attacks in Israel and the outbreak of war in the region, general social studies and current events guidances from the New York City Public Schools Social Studies webpage, Arab Americans Heritage Month, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month, and Jewish American Heritage Month. Whereas the Office of Family and Community Empowerment BASE is currently conducting a 3-part series of anti-discrimination professional development in partnership with the New York City Commission on Human Rights. This series, designed for parent leaders, discusses the Muslim, Jewish, and Black experience in order to combat discrimination. Whereas we acknowledge the efforts of District 15 to put equity support teams in place, including school-based equity teams and SLT equity committees that convene a district-wide equity congress, and school-based student equity teams that convene a district-wide student equity congress. Whereas the diversity plan recommends the creation of a centrally funded, full-time District 15 diversity, equity, and integration coordinator that partners with District 15 administrators, educators, staff, and parents and students on diversity and integration initiatives. Whereas the District 15 DEI coordinator recommendation has been fulfilled. Whereas while the District 15 DEI coordinator may attend district leadership team meetings, neither the DEI coordinator nor any representative of the equity support teams is required to attend the monthly DLT meetings. Whereas the diversity plan also recommended the creation of a centrally funded full-time restorative justice coordinator position tasked with implementing, supporting, and tracking a district-wide approach to restorative practices at all District 15 middle schools. And whereas, while a centrally funded full-time restorative justice coordinator does not yet exist, the student services manager is tasked with restorative justice work, as is the centrally funded Office of School Safety and Youth Development, OSYD. Thank you. Therefore, be it resolved that CEC 15 condemns all forms of hate speech, whether it comes in the form of anti-Arab hate, anti-Asian hate, anti-Black hate, anti-Hispanic hate, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and other forms of discrimination, whenever and wherever they occur, and affirms that hate speech is a form of discrimination. Be it resolved that New York City Public Schools develop and offer age-appropriate materials for grades K through 8 that not only analyze deep-rooted systemic historical biases and hatred, but affirm a common sense of humanity amongst classmates to ensure safe, responsible conversations. All materials shall be factually and historically accurate, not promote a single ideology, be in compliance with New York State law, Article 17-801. Such materials shall include ableism and materials of the history of discrimination against individuals with disabilities, including the vast contributions of people with disabilities to America throughout the country's history. Asian American Pacific Islanders, AAPI, history materials, including the vast contributions of AAPI to America throughout the country's history. African American history materials, including the vast contributions of African Americans to America from the country's inception. Hispanic and Latinx history materials, including the vast contributions of Hispanic and Latinx people to America throughout the country's history. Holocaust and genocide education materials on the history of the Israeli people, and the vast contributions of Jewish Americans. LGBTQIA plus materials, including the vast contributions of LGBTQIA plus individuals to America throughout the country's history. Middle Eastern and ethnic studies materials, including the history of the Palestinian people, and the vast contributions of Arab Americans and Native American indigenous history materials, including the vast contributions of Native American indigenous people to America throughout the country's history, and women's history materials, including the vast contributions of women to America throughout the country's history. Be it resolved that New York City Public Schools require all staff participate in culture responsive and trauma-informed anti-oppression and anti-hate speech training, while recognizes the connection between anti-Arab hate, anti-Asian hate, and anti-Black hate, anti-Hispanic hate, anti-Semitism, homophobia, Islamophobia, and transphobia. This training should be facilitated by a relevant external organization, which has been selected through an inclusive process by school leadership in consultation with educators and school community members based on the organization's ability to fulfill the above criteria. Be it resolved that CEC 15 asks the district and New York City Public Schools to promote media literacy for CEC 15 students. Be it resolved that New York City Public Schools, through the Office of School Safety and Youth Development, OSYD, will work with principals and school communities to form a restorative practice team to, 1, recognize and acknowledge the harm done, 2, take responsibility for the harm, 3, take action to repair the harm, and 4, take action to prevent the recurrence of the harm. Be it resolved, where the restorative practices team has exhausted all options, OSYD will intervene with the mediation process that includes relevant stakeholders guided by an outside organization that specializes in addressing harm and distinguishing harm from discomfort, chosen by the impacted communities, where the process will be meaningfully and clearly defined in terms of goals and timeline. Be it resolved that equity support teams in District 15, the District 15 DEI coordinator in consultation with the superintendent and the student services manager will work with this new restorative practices team on district-based concerns as well as school-based concerns. Be it resolved that the DEI coordinator and a parent representative of the district-wide equity congress shall be required to attend the monthly district leadership team meetings. Be it resolved that New York City Public Schools shall sustain and fulfill the following recommendations outlined in the diversity plan and the resolution. New York City Public Schools continue to fund a full-time District 15 diversity, equity, and integration coordinator that partners with District 15 administrators, educators, staff, parents, and students on diversity and integration initiatives. Diversity plan. New York City Public Schools fund a full-time restorative justice coordinator tasked with implementing, supporting, and tracking a district-wide approach to restorative practices. With the diversity plan, New York City Public Schools require regular, ongoing anti-bias, anti-racism, ABAR education, workshops, and offer access to readings, videos, community-led teach-ins, and other resources, including individual mentors, to promote greater understanding of systemic inequities and how they intersect with individual strengths and struggles to allow for our communities to grow together in our humanity and model lifelong learning for our children. And where these resources are available, not only to DOE staff, but to families in their home languages from the resolution. Through small group listening sessions, District 15 administrators will partner authentically with their schools' equity support teams, students, families, and educators to generate pilot, codify, and continually refine collaborative community engagement practices, especially in co-located schools from the resolution. And be it further resolved that CEC 15 will continue to uphold the values of diversity, equity, and inclusivity in our educational mission, emphasizing the importance of understanding and cooperation among all students, including tolerance, understanding, empathy, and respect for human dignity.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we are now opening it up for public comments. So let's first go to those in Zoom. I see a hand, Alina Kavuria.
Hi, I thank you for offering a comment. I did want to ask whether or not the concept of shared ancestry was considered in drafting the resolution, and how the CEC approached in ensuring that the Jewish kids are covered in this resolution appropriately, which many of us have shared ancestry.
Do you mind saying, it was hard to hear the first part, which ancestry did you say, Alina?
Shared.
Shared ancestry.
Yes, the Jewish people, the Jewish diaspora has pretty important and broad but still shared ancestry within our community.
Yeah.
It was removed from
Why?
the version that we submitted in April.
I'm not sure what she's referring to.
So we submitted, a revision, like in April. And then this version that you just read is the revision of that. Okay, fine. So in the April version, and in the first version, we had shared ancestry as one of the categories to not discriminate against, transphobia, anti-Arab, or Asian, all the categories, including shared ancestry. But that term is not, it was removed and is no longer in the draft.
Why was
And
it removed?
Yeah, I think that's what you're asking.
No, I'm
And it's
asking
part of
why
the
it was
United States
removed.
Federal DOE definition, Title VI, it's.
Okay, we'll look into.
I'm sorry, so why was it removed?
Same thing as national origin.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Is there a volume? It's hard to.
She said, why was it removed?
We'll look into it.
I really would like a clarification and maybe explanation, because I think that is something that is important to the Jewish community and many other communities that share other characteristics with each other that are shared. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from those on Zoom? Anybody in the interpretation lines?
No question in Bangla line yet.
No questions in the Spanish line.
No, from Mandarin line.
Great. Any questions or comments from those who are here with us in person? Yeah.
Is there a link to the diversity plan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all,
Oh, yes. I mean, you could, it's in the document and you can just Google D15 diversity.
And I'll get it.
yeah, everything was hyperlinked in there that I read through. So if you look at the
Oh.
electronic version, yeah, obviously on that hard copy, you're not gonna.
No, I
get that
tried
right
for
now.
my phone, but I get it. On the
Yeah.
computer, I'll try.
Yeah, so if you pull it up on the computer, you should be able to click all the hyperlinks to get access to all the documents.
And DLT is.
District leadership team. Yeah.
My question. On page 5, it's the fourth whereas, it says, while the District 15 DEI coordinator may attend DLT meetings, neither the DEI coordinator nor any representative of equity support teams is required to attend a monthly DLT meeting. I'm having difficulty inferring the significance of that. Is there a way that we could add some clarifying or or maybe someone can just explain to me, is it that we're asking that the DEI coordinator have a full role in DLT?
Yeah, so in there's a be it resolved at the end that asks for that to be the case, where,
Thank you.
yeah, where the DEI coordinator plus a parent representative from the equity congress are permanent members on the DLT.
Yeah,
Great.
I took your feedback, your feedback was sort of part of that, because I felt like that was a way to get the superintendent directly involved.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I wasn't making the connection, and I understand why that would be important, and I was just hoping that it was somewhere else, and it is. So yeah, thank you. I see it. It's on the third, be it resolved, page 7. Thank you.
There's a lot. There were a couple comments here, just a thank you, and then, my only concern is in regard to the bias which might be present in the link for processing attacks in Israel and outbreak of war in the region. Yasmin, are you talking about the materials that are being provided by the DOE in terms of
Yes,
bias
correct,
within
Jonathan.
documents?
Yes, correct. I'm trying to find where it is on the resolution.
It is page. The page 4. Third whereas on page 4. Thank
It
you.
was highlighted in like a blue, there, right there, what, the first bullet point. So where
The
does
processing
that,
attacks in Israel, that one?
like which website does it take you to? I'm
It's
trying to see, that's
DOE.
number 12, that says facinghistory.org. So, okay, thank you. I'll take a look at it right now.
I actually couldn't get that link to work, but I was typing it in, so.
Got it, yeah.
Those are all links to the DOE's resources.
That one is a website.
Basic history.
history.org.
Sorry, yeah, I just put the link into the chat.
Yeah.
The pulling up right now, I think it's working.
It's.
Yeah,
That one's not.
oh no,
DOE.
retired resource.
Retired research.
Is that, are
It's
you getting that
retired?
too? That
Retired,
it's
it
not
may
there
be
anymore?
updated in the
They
future.
might be updated.
We should check the links.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll check the links,
all the
we'll check the links again. Thank you for catching
Then I
that.
searched for it and it didn't come up.
Okay,
Like on there.
so they must be updating it
Yeah,
on there.
that's my guess.
As we were writing this, the DOE was creating more and more resources and adding them. It seemed like every week there was more.
Yeah, thank you for catching that. Any other questions or comments in person or on Zoom? Do you have a
I'm still,
process?
I'm not always good on the spot.
Well, I mean,
I appreciate, I mean, I came because I was concerned that their previous drafts, which I haven't seen, had some problematic language that might not sufficiently protect Palestinian students and teachers. Or those like myself who are Jewish, but anti-Zionist Jews, and might be conflating anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, which has obviously been a big topic beyond CEC. So I need to, I've only just been looking at this as long as, you know, we've been at this meeting. So far I'm pleased to see that seems like that. Most of that has been removed from this. So I still need to kind of read it over and look at some of the links and, you know, see, and it sounds like you plan to have another meeting so that there's time for.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
so in 2 weeks, we're gonna.
You can always email us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should have access to the digital version as well.
As I was gonna
It
ask.
It was sent out, so if you're on the CEC listserv and you get the emails from Shanice,
Then there'll be the
with the
drafts.
agenda, there's links in the agenda to the graphs.
Someone who's attended many of the CECs and been following sort of the progression of the drafts, and I just want to acknowledge the really hard work that's gone into this resolution, and I feel like it really does reflect the values of the district and of many of the parents in the district, and I want to say thank you for working together as a team and working to really take in a lot of the feedback. I know that a lot of the feedback from previous versions has been taken in, and I really appreciate that, because in a time when, you know, everything is so divisive, it's really wonderful to see that, you know, all of our children can find themselves in here and all of our families can find themselves in here. And I know it's not easy and there's a lot of work that's gone into this, and I'm sure it's not perfect. The links have to be corrected, etc. But I do appreciate all of your efforts, and just that it truly feels like it's a reflection of the district's values, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, making the sausage, huh? Yeah, you get to see all of it, right?
Okay, so let's move to CEC comments, and then if those who are with us, think of other things as we go around, we welcome. You know, a couple more minutes of comments. Donaldo?
Thanks to everyone. I thought it was a really collaborative effort, and there are real points of wisdom and guidance here for lots of people in lots of roles who want to make this a much better situation for kids and teachers and school leaders. And I hope that when we do vote, if we adopt this resolution, I hope that our perspective is heeded. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that what makes me interested most in this resolution is thinking about what happens next in it. There is a lot that we're putting out there, and a lot of be it resolved, and all of that does impact the roles of so many people across the system, and so that's where my mind is on it, is what happens next, but I recognize I need to hold that in process and then.
Thank you.
Antonia and Jonathan, thank you so much for your work on this.
Devin?
Thank you, and I love the inclusion of everyone. So thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. I know you guys worked hard. I just want to thank everybody for going on this journey with us through this. I know that it took a long time, and we're still not, 100% there. I want to make sure that I fully understand the comment from the public about the shared ancestry. I'll go back and I'll take a look at that, because I'm right now not clear what that language was, but I will look back at that. And I just want to thank you all, our original authors, Jonathan and Donaldo and everybody at this table for all of your input, and Nancy, you gave us a lot of input, and it was a real lesson. No.
I just want to
And-
echo everybody as well, just a thank you to the community. We've been through a lot together around this topic, and I know that there's been a lot of divisiveness and there's a lot of emotion around it, which, it makes sense. We're dealing with it's a very hard time for so many of us. And so for us to be able to truly work together in a meaningful way over the past several months to get to where we are shows what we can do as a district. So I'm very just proud of what we were all able to do, and just thankful to all the wonderful parents and leaders and folks that have made this become what it is. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for drafting it. And Antonia, I think that the shared ancestry is an important element that really needs to be included. So just wanted to add that. Please reconsider it if you can. Thank you.
It wasn't taken out for any reason. I think I'm just unclear on what it is.
Well, Jewish people around the world have shared ancestry. That is,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
I understand that.
Okay, great.
Let's move on to, move on to, okay, the memo of opposition. Okay. Does anybody want to read? Is it me? You can read it? Memorandum of opposition? Yes. Insert your organization's name here. Yeah, this is just a template. Okay. Answer your organization's name here urges the New York State Legislature to reject A1799 / S2967, establishing the citywide leadership team in New York City. Community Education Council District X. 15? Okay. Yeah. Is a public body. Is a public body comprised of elected members who are parents of public schools in the district and appointed members who have expertise in public education. 2 high school students also serve on the council. Community education councils are created by the state education law and are tasked with advising the New York City Department of Education. New York City desperately needs a new form of school governance. Parents all around the city have advocated for a real seat at the table of education policymaking in the public school system. This council recognizes the need to overhaul mayoral control and to develop a truly democratic school governance system with parents as decision makers. The central leadership team is an attempt to subvert mayoral control without actually changing or removing it. The CLT is not the solution to the deeply flawed school governance system. This council deems the CLT an unnecessary additional layer of bureaucracy without substantially improving how parents participate in the decision-making process. Currently, the NYC school governance structure consists of school leadership teams, district leadership teams, citywide and community education councils, chancellor's parent advisory council, and the Board of Education, aka PEP. Parent leaders are involved in various capacities and across different organizations throughout the DOE from the school level to the citywide level. Collectively, these entities have the responsibilities proposed for the CLT from the bill. Not surprisingly, there is a lack of coordination among the existing bodies, adding another layer to what is already a confusing and somewhat chaotic structure will neither democratize the public school system nor empower parents to use their influence. This council further questions the efficacy of amending the New York City administrative code, rather than amending the New York State education law. It is New York State education law that outlines the governance structure and authorizes mayoral control. Amending anything other than the education law simply adds to the already bloated bureaucracy and still leaves the ability to devalue parent voice in the hands of one person. How are we to ensure two separate systems created by the city's administrative code and New York City education law coordinate efficiently? The council urges the legislature to reject 81799/S2967 and instead work with parent leaders to develop an alternative to mayoral control.
Okay. So we are moving to public comment. Is there anybody joining us on Zoom who has a comment or question? Anybody in the interpretation lines?
There are no questions in the Spanish line.
No question in Bangla line.
Are any questions or comments from people here with us?
There's no question on the Mandarin line.
Thank you. Anybody else in person who has questions? Yeah, CEC member comments, Antonia.
I just don't think we need this extra organization. We have our CECs and as it is, we don't have a tremendous amount of like state mandated authority. It just seems like this other additional advisory body that doesn't really do anything. So I support the letter and I don't support the creation of the CLT.
Nancy?
I agree, with everything that Tanya has said, and it just loops the system further. And I wonder, who's gonna manage this and what's that gonna cost? And it seems completely unnecessary.
Hans?
No.
Nancy?
I think the issue that this letter brings up and that we keep going back to is that we really have so little power. And I don't mean power in the sense of like, haha, we're going to exert our power. No, like these are our children that we want to have some type of power in terms of how our children are being educated. And we really don't have power. We pass resolutions and we get responses that over and over are just, okay, thanks so much. And so it's very, very frustrating to keep coming back to that. It's like a typewriter resetting. And for all those that remember typewriters. And so it's this, the CLT will be yet one more of these pockets of parents having a voice with no power. And until we put an end to mayoral control, this is what will continue to be the situation. We will show up, we will say things, and the DOE will do what the DOE wants to do.
That's what Nancy just said. That was my whole thing, was that this, to me, feels much more about mayoral control than the creation of yet another parent body.
Agree with Nancy wholeheartedly, down with mayoral control forever and ever.
and fifth, sixth out.
Okay, all right. I want to make a motion to adopt this memorandum of opposition. You got it, Nancy? Okay. Yeah, I got it. Second. Okay, Nancy, Randall seconds. Oh, wait, no, I made the motion. All right, and Nancy Randall seconds. All right. Yes, no more toothless parabolics.
Okay, Councilmember Nancy Cruz, yes, Councilmember Donald Chumney.
Yes.
Councilmember Jonathan Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Nancy Randall.
Yes.
Councilmember Hans Henrietta. Councilmember Lauren Barkin. Councilmember Mahmoud Rashid.
Oh, he left about 40 minutes.
Councilmember Jenny Vidal.
Yes. Okay.
We still have some.
All right.
Sorry, sweet.
All right, great, thank you. We got through a lot of stuff here. So it's 8:36. I'd
like to make a motion.
What's your motion?
To postpone the calendar discussion and go directly to the mutual teaching.
Okay, but, all right, but we do have to put out a calendar. Like, I don't think we have like really enough time to really go through the calendar, but it would be nice to agree on July and August.
Okay, I will remove my motion.
Like, we kind
Maybe
of have
just
to
July
put
and
those
August.
out there.
Okay, I motioned, so it's just July and August discussion.
Okay. I'm gonna share my screen again. I don't think we really need to go on that. I think kind of just like, no, we can just. Let's just talk about July and August so that we can get those on the calendar. So we have to have an annual meeting that the bylaws say shall be held on the second Tuesday of July. Unless said date falls on a legal holiday, in which event the meeting shall be scheduled for the third Tuesday in July, provided that all rules of notification of meetings are adhered to. We have to have a business and a calendar meeting. We, in the past, have been able to vote to merge these three into one meeting. And I would propose that for the summer months of July and August, we try and merge our meetings, our business calendar and annual meetings, and fit it all into one. I know people are traveling. We need quorum to do any of this. We need quorum, and we have found, I have been in annual meetings scheduled when the bylaws say it should be scheduled, and we don't have quorum. And that is a very frustrating situation to be at the meeting that you can't have in the middle of the summer. So, the dates, the Tuesdays in July are the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, or the 30th. Pick one.
My 2 cents is the 9th or the 16th. I'll be right back.
I'm going the 16th. I mean, probably do the 23rd.
I'm not the 9th or the 16th, but I could do.
Okay, 23rd,
Like those doodles or whatever.
we could, but we kind of have to vote to do this.
Can we vote?
We could vote.
To doodle.
I mean, is the requirement like that, we're just really aiming for a date that we can have quorum, right? So if someone says on the doodle that they're coming, then that means that they're kind of locked in as a yes.
True.
Is that?
That's true. we could doodle it. I feel more comfortable like.
But then it also
Getting your
account for
consent.
the people who are not here to make the participate. So
That's true, they could participate in the doodle. Okay, so nobody wants, it sounds like nobody wants to commit to the date right now. We want to do
To the 23rd, right?
You want to do a doodle? Okay.
Yeah.
This is what would make me feel comfortable. If we vote right now to combine all meetings for July and August.
Right.
Then I will feel like I
that's
have
great.
done
Yes.
my, my duty.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, motion. I'm gonna make a motion to combine meetings for July and August. Combine, yeah, we're gonna have one meeting in July, one meeting in August. Right? We're not gonna have one meeting over the summer. We're gonna have one, we're gonna have one.
I really
one-
thought she was going in the.
So was I. I thought that was awesome.
We're gonna have
Yeah,
one
right.
meeting, that's an annual business calendar meeting in July, and one meeting, that is a business calendar meeting. I'm obligated to have one meeting a month by state law. So, so we're gonna combine annual business calendar July and combine business and calendar in August. So we're gonna have one meeting in August, one meeting in July.
You know, you could solve this by meeting July 31st at 11.
I was exactly thinking that.
We get a permit for the building.
That is,
Right.
yes, right. I was thinking
That is smart.
exactly the same thing.
Outside the box thinking. How we do it in that meeting.
Yeah. you want to, sure. Yeah.
100%.
Okay,
I'm
all
with
right,
you.
all right, who's seconding the motion? Is it, Lauren
Yeah,
seconds? Okay. And.
Could we do, I don't mean to complicate things,
Yeah,
here. Could we do like calendar and business together, or does it have to be one and one, like the same?
I'm obligated to have one calendar meeting a month under state law.
Got it, okay, that, scratch that. It's just they're like different, so you know, it's just always gets complicated. Thank you.
Okay, so call the roll.
Okay, Councilmember Anton.
Yes, I support.
Councilmember Nancy Cruz, yes. Councilmember Michelle Tony.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
Yeah.
Councilmember Nancy Randall.
Nancy, I have a motion on the floor to combine our annual business calendar meeting in July into one meeting and hold another meeting in August that combines the calendar and business meetings. Do you support that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Hanzarieta.
Yes.
Councilmember Lauren Barkin.
Yes.
Councilmember Denley. Vidal.
Yeah. Okay. All right, all right, real quick. Mutual aid teaching sponsorship, let me explain what's going on with this. Our, Diane and Obabor has to become a DOE vendor in order to do this. And she submitted her tax paperwork to the DOE, and they have not yet, approved her to do this. But in the event that she gets approved soon, we could potentially hold this teach-in in June with your approval. If they don't give us, if the DOE does not approve her as a DOE vendor in that time frame, we will have to hold this vote again in the next budgetary cycle. So I want to, well, first of all, I would have to read, I guess, the proposal so that we can go to public comment. Let me share the proposal. All right, D15 mutual aid virtual teaching. As our city grapples with stunning levels of inequity and need, folks are striving to connect with meaningful ways to community build and support one another. Mutual aid, a centuries-old tradition rooted in feminist, indigenous, Black and brown societal structures and practices, is a practical and radically loving way to join your neighbors in solidarity and make sure that each member of the community has all that they need. Led by Diane Enobabor, PhD candidate at CUNY in geography, activist, scholar, and longtime student of social movements that support migrants in the United States and Latin America. This lesson will provide context to why mutual aid is a critical and generative response to the current asylum seeker crisis in New York. Participants will leave with a well-rounded understanding of mutual aid, access to popular tools, use of mutual aid and resources to begin new mutual aid collectives. I don't think I have to read the entire thing. The fee for the workshop is $800, which includes access to and permission to use all materials created for the workshop to conduct future workshops in the district as CEC sees fit. It's facilitated by Diane Enobabor, MA of Africa is Everywhere, and formerly of Black and Arab Migrant Solidarity Alliance. And then she gives sort of her bio at the end. So this person came to us through Maury, who is our person on the ground in all this mutual aid work. So I would like to make a motion to approve this this mutual aid workshop. Pending approval of her status as a DOE vendor.
Second.
Okay, Antonio Ferraro. I'll take it.
Yes.
Do we need to do comments?
Oh, God, yes.
I should probably
Yes.
comment, right?
Okay, apologies, thank you, John. Yes, we need to go to the public comments.
Okay, so any comments on this resolution from people on Zoom? Anybody on the interpreter's line?
No comments on the Spanish line.
Thank you.
Nothing in Bangla line as well.
Thank you.
No from Mandarin line.
Thank you. Any questions or comments in person? Maybe I think they're the only ones. CEC member comments, Hans, Stanley, Nancy.
I was impressed with her Portuguese.
No real comments, except that I wonder if we should wait until DOE has done their vetting before we make any sort of official decisions about anything in light of the DOE vetting process being a trick to get to that, because I don't know, that was my only.
At that point, then it's just gonna happen in the next budgetary cycle. We just won't be able to do it in June, like we'll have to.
I mean, I'm fine voting on that, I'm just wondering if we want to.
Well, what do you think are the if she doesn't get
Yeah, no, there's no
approved,
point, I just-
we can't do it here.
We just started this meeting by,
Yeah.
having gone forward with something and there's a deal, so I was just wondering if we wanted to.
Yeah, just think it through for me. I don't like.
I don't think there's a done, right?
Sorry, what was your answer?
My answer,
Oh.
No, we're not voting, no, we're doing.
Okay.
we're doing comments.
Excellent, I apologize.
we have fallen for the.
No comment.
Yeah, I see your point.
I mean, I just wanted to make.
I think, you know, if they don't approve her, we just can't do it. So I would like to go through the motion of approving the idea of this, this event. Okay. And so you seconded
I
it.
seconded, should
Okay,
maybe move again.
move it, okay, motion.
This usually workshop, pending the approval, their approval is the dealing method.
Yes.
So Sonia motioned and Jonathan seconds. All right, Councilmember Anthony Barr
Approves.
Yes, Councilmember Donato Chutney.
Yes.
Councilmember Jonathan Gibbs.
Yes.
Councilmember Nancy Grant. Approved. Councilmember Hunter Yetta. Councilmember Lauren Bartley. Yes. Councilmember Zachary Goodall.
Yes. And you guys. Moving, okay, so, bylaws committee update, the bylaws, we took all your comments and, they are being looked at by things. The part of the bylaws that raised some questions is being examined by things and hopefully we'll have an answer before the next calendar meeting on that. In August. Move the treasurer's report to the end. Or would you like to do
Everybody
it?
would benefit from a very updated treasurer's report
Okay,
next time.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
not this time.
right,
Yeah, no,
okay,
yes,
all right.
gladly.
And superintendent review process, I sent you all the document on that. If you have any questions about how to do it, just ask me. I have sent a form to the entire District 15 community to solicit feedback from all of the teachers and parents in the community. And you will fill out your report into that document. All of your raw feedback will go to the superintendent at the end of the year. So just make sure that you just write your name, put in your raw feedback. Don't touch other people's feedback, you know. So.
When are we doing this by?
We have to do it before the end of I'd like to give it to him before the end, well, actually. I think I will have to formally deliver it in July, because I don't think we're gonna be able to vote to finalize it until that final calendar meeting. At the end of June 25th. So I will have to give it to him early in July. So, do you have any questions on how to use that form? Just ask me when you have it. All right, otherwise, I would like to ask the council if we can adjourn this meeting at 8:53. Motion to adjourn. Second. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Denise.
Appreciate you
Interpretation,
all.
you're dismissed. Oh, yeah,
And
so,
see you in 2-2.
so for this, this number here, 31, it doesn't reflect what's happening.
This crushed me, you crushed me. That
So
hurts.
this is for the childcare, this is for the Uber, what is it?
Thank you.
So it has to be on this.
I'm on the bench,
agenda.
actually.
So it has to
Daughter
be
was
like-
for 3 days last week. My son was over there.
Mhm.
Just got a version.
You wanna pause it over here?
Okay, well, I have to.
So then the total.
I'm taking that blue folder. I'm redoing that.
What is it? So that's 60 plus
Every meeting, blue folder, right.
33.
There's so many blue folders at
I
home
know.
that
Yeah, I just keep them all in this handy
Okay,
bag,
that's
so.
fine, okay.
Along with my big pens and one.
You're dismissed interpretation.
Somebody's
Thank you.
umbrella? Did somebody bring an umbrella that they left?
I don't know.
Okay, well, never mind. Okay, fine.